Strait of Hormuz, the world's deadliest choke point. 2:52 in the afternoon. Blazing sun, crystal clear skies, perfect visibility across every mile of water. USS Mason, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, cutting through international waters. Her mission: escort the oil tanker Pacific Endeavour safely through the strait. Standard freedom of navigation patrol. Routine escort duty. Then, without warning, Iranian coastal radar systems lit up. Target acquisition. Lock-on confirmed. 6 anti-ship missile batteries going hot along the Iranian coastline. 12 Revolutionary Guard fast attack boats racing from Bandar Abbas harbor, weapons armed. 3 missile corvettes departing port, turning toward American vessels. All of it happening in broad daylight, visible on every radar screen, tracked by every satellite overhead. Tehran's orders were crystal clear. Sink that destroyer, seize the tanker. Humiliate the Americans in their own choke point. Iran's strategy was textbook. Overwhelming force in confined waters. USS Mason was isolated in the narrowest section of the strait, surrounded on 3 sides by Iranian territory, minimal maneuvering space, trapped in what military analysts call a kill box. The math seemed perfect from Tehran's perspective. 1 American destroyer versus 6 missile batteries, 12 gunboats, 3 corvettes, all coordinating for simultaneous attack. The Revolutionary Guard had rehearsed this scenario for months, launch supersonic missiles from multiple angles, saturate the destroyer's defenses, force the crew to choose which threats to engage while others slipped through. Once Mason took hits, Iranian boats would close in, finish the job, capture survivors. The tanker? Easy prize. 30 million barrels of American oil seized in Iranian waters, global headlines, economic leverage, strategic victory. Tehran calculated they had engineered the perfect ambush. American ship in a bottleneck, surrounded by Iranian firepower, no backup in range, no escape route available. But the Revolutionary Guard's intelligence made 4 fatal errors. First, USS Mason wasn't some vulnerable cargo ship. She was one of the most sophisticated air defense destroyers ever built. Aegis combat system. SPY-1 phased array radar. Vertical launch system capable of engaging dozens of targets simultaneously. This wasn't a sitting duck. This was a floating fortress. Second, that tanker Tehran wanted to seize? Pacific Endeavour wasn't carrying just oil. 12 Force Reconnaissance Marines were concealed below deck, embedded specifically for this contingency. Full combat gear, ready for coastal raids. Third, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group was positioned 60 miles west. 48 FA-8, 18 Super Hornets ready for launch. Support assets already airborne, monitoring the entire strait. Fourth, 2 B-1B Lancer strategic bombers had been orbiting at 40,000 feet for the past 6 hours, waiting. Every single Iranian missile battery had been pre-targeted, coordinates locked into weapon systems, just waiting for Tehran to make the mistake. When Iran pulled the trigger, they weren't attacking 1 destroyer. They were triggering the largest American counterstrike in the Persian Gulf since Operation Praying Mantis in 1988. What happened in the next 47 minutes would reshape Iran's naval strategy for the next decade. This is that story. The Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide at the narrowest point, the single most strategic waterway on Earth. Every day, 21 million barrels of oil transit through this corridor. That's 20% of global petroleum supply. 1/5 of the world's energy flowing through this tiny gap between Iran and Oman. Iran has controlled the northern shoreline for decades, fortifying it with increasingly sophisticated weapons. For years, Tehran made threats: close the strait, stop all shipping, strangle the global economy. Empty rhetoric, until recently. 3 weeks prior to the incident, U.S. intelligence satellites detected concerning developments. 6 new Chinese-made C-802 anti-ship missile batteries being installed along the coast. Each battery mounting 4 missiles. Range, 120 kilometers. Speed, supersonic, Mach 0.9. Warhead, 165 kilograms of high explosive, specifically engineered to penetrate warship hulls. Additionally, Iranian Revolutionary Guard naval forces had intensified patrols. Fast attack boats conducting aggressive maneuvers against commercial shipping. missile corvettes shadowing American vessels. Harassment escalating to dangerous levels. The Pentagon's response: continue freedom of navigation operations, refuse to acknowledge Iranian territorial claims over international waters, escort American flag tankers through the strait, show Tehran that threats mean nothing. At 10 a.m. on the day in question, USS Mason received her orders from 5th Fleet Command in Bahrain. Proceed to entrance of Strait of Hormuz. Rendezvous with Pacific Endeavour at coordinates. Escort through Strait to Gulf of Oman. Maintain defensive posture. Rules of engagement. Weapons free for any hostile action. Captain Sarah Mitchell, Mason's commanding officer, had 20 years naval experience, 2 combat deployments, expert in air defense warfare. She understood exactly what this mission entailed. She addressed her crew over the 1MC shipboard announcing system. All hands, this is the captain. We're entering the strait at 11:30. Intelligence indicates elevated Iranian activity. Multiple missile batteries are active along the coast. This isn't a drill. This is a combat zone. Every system to maximum readiness. Every sailor at their post. We may be tested today. When that happens, we respond with overwhelming precision. Understood? The response echoed through the ship. Understood, Captain. What Captain Mitchell couldn't reveal to most of her crew, naval intelligence had flagged this. Specific transit as high probability for Iranian aggression. Signals intelligence had intercepted encrypted communications between Revolutionary Guard Naval Command and coastal batteries. Key phrase identified. Package delivery authorized for afternoon transit. Translation: Iran was planning an attack. At 11:30 a.m., USS Mason entered the Strait of Hormuz from the east, maintaining a steady 15 knots. Pacific Endeavour, the massive oil tanker, followed 1 kilometer astern. Both vessels proceeding through designated international shipping lanes. Legal. Routine. Unremarkable. At 12:15 p.m., Iranian coastal surveillance radar went active, tracking Mason's progress. Standard procedure. Iran always monitors American warships passing through their claimed waters. At 1047 p.m., things shifted. 12 Iranian fast attack boats launched from Bandar Abbas Naval Base. Revolutionary Guard vessels, each armed with anti-ship missiles and heavy machine guns. They turned south, accelerating to 35 knots, heading toward the strait. At 2:20 p.m., 3 Iranian Muj-class missile corvettes departed port. Larger warships, 1,500 tons displacement, armed with C-802 missiles and 76mm naval guns. They moved to intercept positions, clearly visible to American reconnaissance aircraft overhead. At 2:35 p.m., Captain Mitchell received flash priority message from CENTCOM. Mason actual, be advised. Intelligence indicates imminent Iranian attack. 6 coastal missile batteries showing launch preparation indicators. 12 fast attack boats inbound your position. 3 corvettes moving to engagement range. You are authorized weapons free for defensive engagement. Carrier strike group scrambling now. Hold your position. Defend the tanker. Captain Mitchell immediately ordered, General Quarters, General Quarters. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. Iranian forces. Inbound. Multiple hostile units converging our position. Weapon systems to full readiness. Aegis to automatic engagement mode. Stand by for incoming missiles. Throughout USS Mason, claxons wailed. Sailors sprinted to combat stations. Below decks, fire control technicians powered up missile launchers. On the bridge, radar operators watched green blips multiply on their screens. The Aegis combat system came fully online. SBY-1 radar arrays began scanning the entire airspace within 200 kilometers. Every potential threat tracked, categorized, prioritized. At 2:41 p.m., USS Mason's radar systems detected sudden thermal blooms along the Iranian coast. Missile launches, multiple launches. Computers automatically calculated trajectories. 8 missiles airborne simultaneously from battery positions along 70 kilometers of coastline, all targeting USS Mason. 2 seconds later, the 12 fast attack boats opened fire, 24 smaller anti-ship missiles launching from their deck launchers. Vapor trails streaking across the clear afternoon sky, visible for miles in perfect daylight conditions. Simultaneously, the The 3 approaching corvettes launched their weapons. 6 more missiles joining the attack. Total inbound, 38 anti-ship missiles. All supersonic, all sea-skimming, all targeting 1 American destroyer. The largest coordinated missile attack on a United States naval vessel since World War II. At 2:41 and 15 seconds, automated Aegis threat warning blared throughout Mason. Vampire, vampire, vampire. Multiple inbound anti-ship missiles. Bearing 035, range 90 kilometers. All units engage. Captain Mitchell's voice cut through the chaos. Brace for impact. All defensive. Systems engage. Get those missiles. At 2:42 p.m., USS Mason began launching SM-2 Standard Interceptor missiles from her vertical launch cells. White contrails arcing skyward, each interceptor guided by Aegis radar toward Iranian missiles, still 80 kilometers away. First Iranian missile destroyed. Mid-air interception, fireball visible on the horizon. Second destroyed. Third, fourth, but more were coming. Too many, too fast. At 2:43 p.m., closer-range SM-6 missiles began launching. More advanced interceptors with longer range and better maneuverability. 5th Iranian missile destroyed at 60 kilometers. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. 0 hits, 0 casualties. Every single threat eliminated by layered defense systems. At 2:45 and 30 seconds, Captain Mitchell announced, "Threat neutralized. All missiles destroyed. Ship secure. Damage control teams report. Weapons stations stand by for counterstrike authorization." But while those missiles were in flight toward USS Mason, American forces had already begun responding. At 20:42 p.m., while Iranian missiles were still airborne, 2 B-1B Lancer bombers that had been orbiting for hours received engagement authorization from CENTCOM. Lancer flight, you are cleared hot. All pre-designated targets. Execute immediately. Each B-1B carried 75,000 pounds of precision-guided munitions. Within 30 seconds, they began releasing weapons. 24 GBW-31 JADAM satellite-guided bombs, each 2,000 pounds, targeting the 6 Iranian coastal missile batteries that had fired. At 2:46 p.m., those 24 bombs struck simultaneously. 6 Iranian missile battery positions erupted in massive explosions. Launchers destroyed. Ammunition stockpiles detonated. Secondary explosions rippling across the coastline. Every battery that had fired at USS Mason ceased to exist within seconds. By 3:25 p.m., Iran's Revolutionary Guard naval presence in the Strait of Hormuz region had been functionally eliminated. 12 fast attack boats sunk. 3 missile corvettes destroyed. 6 coastal missile batteries obliterated. Naval headquarters, rubble. Every support facility, burning. USS Mason, minor damage to forward section and aft superstructure from near-miss debris. All crew survived. 0 American fatalities. 0 American casualties. Ship remained operational. Continued transit through the strait. Pacific Endeavor, undamaged. Continued to Gulf of Oman with cargo intact. Iranian losses, 12 fast attack boats sunk. 3 missile corvettes destroyed. 6 coastal missile batteries obliterated. Iranian casualties, 320 dead, 116 wounded, all destruction clearly visible, all documented, all verified by satellite imagery. Total American victory. Complete Iranian defeat. So what did the Battle of the Strait truly prove? First, American warships are not vulnerable targets. Iran fired the largest anti-ship missile salvo at American forces in 40 years. 38 missiles. Coordinated attack. Perfect ambush scenario in confined waters. Result, all missiles destroyed. 0 damage to the destroyer. Iran learned that Aegis-equipped destroyers can track and engage hundreds of targets simultaneously. Their saturation attack strategy, designed to overwhelm defenses, proved completely ineffective. Second, attacking American vessels triggers overwhelming response. Iran lost 15 warships and 6 missile batteries within 47 minutes. Freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz is non-negotiable. For decades, Tehran threatened to close the strait, control global oil flow, leverage it for political concessions. The strait remained open, Commercial shipping continued uninterrupted. Tehran's military isn't as powerful as their propaganda claimed, but perhaps the most significant impact occurred within Iran itself. The destroyer sailed through anyway. The tanker delivered its cargo. America proved the strait remains open regardless of Iranian threats. Iran blinked. Again, USS Mason continued transit. Never slowed, never diverted. Completed escort mission. Delivered tankers safely through the strait. The entire battle conducted in daylight. American naval power isn't just superior, it's overwhelming, it's integrated, it's responsive, and most importantly, it's committed to keeping international waters open, regardless of threats, regardless of provocations, regardless of cost.